Okay, and today we're going to do something a little bit differently. I read this post on Reddit, and I think it's important to get it out there. I'm just going to read this post, and after I'm finished, I'm going to give my thoughts on the matter. I don't agree with everything this person says. I think it's important to just read it as it is, and then we can have a discussion about it afterwards.
Space Coconut.
This discussion is by For Felix. It's called Behavior Boycott Follow-Up. Read this, please. A day or two ago, I posted a photo of a proposition for a boycott. Let's look at that really quick. It says, I propose we don't buy anything for DBD for the next 3 months if we legitimately go on this strike. I guarantee Behavior will start fixing issues in no time. It may have been more purpose than a proposition. Warning, there will probably be a few grammatical errors. Reader discretion is advised. That post did extremely well, which I am both grateful for and glad it reached hot. I can only hope this post will do the same. This post will be a long explanation, but I really recommend you read it. Doing this boycott would be beneficial for the long-term health of this amazing game. If you don't want to or need to read the reasons for the boycott, skip past everything below this text and just read the boycott. This is not a post crying that killers or survivors are OP and the devs need to be fired because of it. This isn't a post saying that the devs need to be cancelled or anything. Like a comment or two on my last post believed. Dead by Daylight is the top asymmetrical horror game genre. It has not one equal competitor. The Resident Evil chapter made sure of that. Scott Jund is great at explaining how much of an issue is. With Behavior having no real competitors for their game, they have no real incentive to make the game better, faster. They can do what they have done for the past 3 chapters and have no real repercussions for it, the past 3 chapters. A binding of kin. An unfinished mess of a chapter, from issues to simple visual bugs that could have easily been noticed in the main menu if they did any sort of testing beforehand, to many bugs making the new killer and new perks straight up unusable. The PTB was better working than the DLC itself. All Kill, a chapter which was released relatively bug-free. The main issue with it was the killer. How the developers thought that the Trickster was in any way a good killer when the PTB went live, I will never know. Everyone and their grandma collectively gave Behavior feedback for the Trickster. He went live and was almost the exact same. Until the next patch, 15 days later, when he was made slightly better. He is still one of the worst killers in the game to this day. They have basically left him untouched since. The chapter is remembered by all as the chapter that made Blight and Wraith better. That was it. Which, by the way, it took them 9 months to listen to the community and fix the Blight's POV. It took them even longer to buff Wraith's movement speed and nerf Windstorm. Resident Evil. The Resident Evil chapter, the licensed anniversary chapter, it'll be really good, right? The PTB seemed good. The new map seems iffy, but oh well. Nemesis needs a few small buffs with tearing up his power. The Survivor's perks were good. The Killer perks were meh, but oh well, the Killer looks fun as hell. This brings so many new players to the game. This will be a good game for Resident Evil fans to enjoy. Oh my god, it's Binding of Kin all over again. No, F. Go back. This chapter probably made every new Resident Evil fan look at the game and then immediately leave it. The mountain of bugs are obvious. Console is practically unplayable. The new map is disabled an hour after the game comes out. Behavior linked the new skins into sets, so you have to spend more RX cells and buy the same exact headpieces as the default ones. But hey, they gave everyone 300,000 blood points to make up for the shitty chapter and help with the terrible game grind, right? Speaking of which, community issues and complaints. The grind. The grind for this game for the last year has been ridiculous. Survivors have 95 perks in total, 3 tiers for each perk. That's 385 perks for survivors alone. I like saying perk tiers. Killers have 84 perks, once again, 3 tiers from each, adding up to 252 perk tiers you have to buy if you want every perk on one killer. Perk tiers were made back when there were 3 killers, essentially having there be a total of 30-ish perk tiers, with the tiers being something to work towards. It inflated a small number for gameplay reasons, but nowadays, with both sides having around 90 perks, the tier system is entirely unnecessary. People have complained about the grind for the past year or two, and complaints will get more relevant with each edition of a chapter. The community has suggested that tiers should be removed altogether. Behavior has done what behavior does best. They stubbornly refuse to communicate with the community. It took Otsdarva around 44 minutes and 76 seconds without the tutorials to get Nemesis to Prestige 3 and level 50, without getting all of the perks. This man has 6,694 hours in DBD, saves every challenge he does for the blood points, plays the game as his job, and still barely had enough blood points saved to get Nemesis to P3, level 50, as fast as he possibly could. The grind for this game is insane. I don't think anything about prestiging should be changed, however. Prestiging is just more of a flex in games. It serves no advantage, and if anything, hinders you by removing everything you own for that character. That's just how prestiging works in video games. Dead by Daylight doesn't have to be any different, but the community has begged behavior to lower the grind. How does behavior respond? They have turned events into extra BP-focused weeks. The events. Behavior has changed every event in the game into a diet of off-brand discount version of its older self. The Halloween and Chinese New Year events are the biggest examples. They originally gave killers and survivors side objectives, and gave players that chance to earn event currency to buy an event skin. They have since been replaced with temporary use offerings that give everyone more BP. They have removed event currency and made all event skins either a big iridescent shard grind or $10. The Halloween event from last year still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. I would link you a Reddit post that someone made for the Eternal Blight event, but it's impossible to find since I never saved it. Last year there was no event currency, but every Eternal Blight skin was purchasable for iridescent shards. Someone did the math, and it would take almost every hour that event was live to earn enough iridescent shards to buy 1 or 2 skins. That's not including queue times and sleeping. After the community bitched enough, they lowered the price of skins to 9k iridescent shards each and gave out iridescent shards daily for the event. Now I know you're all falling asleep reading this, or rolled your eyes a sentence in and left, but please stay with me. Thank you for reading this far. The Boycott. Behavior has no other big games. They have no other competition. All of their chips are in on Dead by Daylight. At some point along the way, Behavior and the community forgot that the community has the power to decide whether Dead by Daylight succeeds or fails. Behavior has gotten slow and somewhat greedy with Dead by Daylight. They are leading the game down a path, if they continue, could lead to the poor health of the game we all love. Another boycott was suggested earlier the day I posted my proposition post. They suggested we stop playing the game on June 26th and 27th, as a strike against Behavior. Scott Junn made a video perfectly explaining why doing only that won't work. You don't have to like Scott, but he's right. Just not playing the game as a strike won't do anything. Behavior loses nothing. We need to collectively stop giving money to Behavior for the next 3 months. Cosmetics and chapters. Behavior would lose their main source of income if the community did this. If 25% of the community did this, it would dent their income. If 50% of the community did this, it would vastly harm Behavior. If 75% or higher did this, it could ruin Behavior. We have that power. Not this subreddit, but the community as a whole. Think about that for a second. I am not proposing we destroy Behavior, but we need to remind Behavior that the community should be listened to, or else they could lose their cash cow. For the people that immediately assume it won't work and we shouldn't try, whether it's because of the subreddit is too small, or we will never band the rest of the community together to do something like this, think about how we don't even need the whole community to do this. If 30 to 50% of the community did this, it would work. And if this boycott gains enough traction, it could go beyond the subreddit and become a general idea in the community. All you have to do is not spend your own money. Spare your wallet for the next 3 months of Dead by Daylight. You can play the game, but don't buy any chapters for a bit. Don't buy those overpriced skins. If we do this, it could potentially help the game's health in the long run, making a more enjoyable experience for everyone that plays the game. You contributing helps the game in the long run. The boycott starts now, until the next chapter. We wait and see if Behavior starts caring more. If the boycott works, they'll inevitably try to start giving out more BP to appease people. We need to try this. Even if it fails, it's better to fail in doing the right thing than succeed in doing the wrong. Any contribution to the boycott helps. Thank you for reading this wall of text. Every clip used of content creators has been used to make a point. They're in no way agreeing with what this post said unless the boycott gains traction and they publicly say they support it. But as of me writing this, none of the content creators shown are on my side. Edit, if anyone would like to help spread awareness, something like Twitter, the vile places it may be, let's use hashtag deadbyboycott. So now that we've read the post, okay, I'm just going to give my thoughts on it. I've talked about how hurting the behavior wallet is where we're going to see the change the most. I haven't bought skins since the Spirit. Spirit was gifted to me. Well, I guess that's a lie. I've purchased licensed killers. I've paid $5 to buy 500 auric cells that I would use to specifically buy the killer. I haven't bought any cosmetics. I've bought the lettuce hag and the Medusa hag. I've spent no other money on behavior since the Spirit. So, putting my money where my mouth is, many of you know that I've done this. I've been saying this for years, and the reason I'm sharing this post with you guys is because I believe in it. He's absolutely right that if we genuinely want something to change in Dead by Daylight, we want the developers to listen to us, we need to hit them where it's most important to them, their ego and their wallet. Remember the colorblind issue where somebody on Twitter, I forget his name, caught wind of the colorblind issue and called behavior out on it, and they immediately went into damage control mode. And whether they'd been working on colorblind mode or not, since then, it had been 4 years, and the colorblind mode had been requested since the second day this game went live. It was, 5 years later that it came to fruition. The only reason they did that was because they were about to lose face in the community, the Twitterverse, as it were. Their egos were going to get hurt. We know why the devs focus on the cosmetics more so than they focus on events and the core functionality of the game. It's because cosmetics make money. If you genuinely want Dead by Daylight to improve, if you want it to get better, you need to stop spending your money. Buy things with shards. Grind it out. It sucks, but your money is what behavior will listen to. There's post after post agreeing with this boycott and people talking about their friends who joined having the issue with the grind, talking about the colorblind issues. There's so many people who agree with this, and because I agree, because I think this boycott is a good idea, and because this has already gained so much traction, I want to be among the first people to say, I want to be among the first content creators who will say, yes, this needs to be done. Players should start holding back their money. Put your wallets away for now. I know you want that shiny new skin that's coming out in a week or two? During the anniversary? It'll still be there in 3 months. It'll still be there when the next chapter comes out. All you have to do is wait. If you genuinely want Dead by Daylight to improve, you can wait. And if you think Dead by Daylight is fine, if you really, really want that skin, then fine, go ahead and buy it. There are people who don't think Dead by Daylight is functional enough to deserve their money. If that is you, hold back. If you think Dead by Daylight can improve, hold on to your money. If you think Dead by Daylight is perfect, go ahead and spend it. This is my opinion, right? I've been saying this for a very long time. I like what Felix has done. I like what he's started. And I want to be part of the movement that changes Dead by Daylight. Right now, I'm playing a lot of Final Fantasy, and you may or may not know even what that is, or who Asmongold is, but World of Warcraft is currently in the same place that Dead by Daylight is. They are the top of their genre. However, they've gotten complacent, they've gotten lazy, they've gotten greedy, and the players of that WoW community have begun to get tired of it. So they're starting to play Final Fantasy instead, and that community is welcoming them, right? Right now, Dead by Daylight has no competition, but as soon as they do, if Dead by Daylight doesn't improve, it will die when that new competition comes in. And I can tell you, there are games that are in development that are trying this asymmetrical horror genre thing. They're giving it a run. They're giving it a go. And if you remember the way Dead by Daylight was in the beginning, you will know that it doesn't take much to be successful. A developer that successfully puts together a competitor to Dead by Daylight will be wildly successful. I suppose I got off on a tangent there, but the bottom line is this. If you love Dead by Daylight half as much as I do, you will avoid spending money on the game for the next 3 months until the next chapter comes out. You will wait. You will show the devs that you care enough about this game to let it suffer, to let the devs recognize and the corporate suits that run them know that we value the game's functionality over pretty skins. The only way this works is if you care enough about Dead by Daylight to hold back. Many of you think I hate Dead by Daylight because of the way I talk about it, and many of you understand that that's not true. I love this game. I would love to play this on a regular basis, but we all know the state it's in. We all know that it's not as good as it could be. We all know that the devs could do better. We all know that they're not incompetent. We know they're not stupid. It's time we encourage them to do better, to focus on what made Dead by Daylight successful in the first place, the player base. When Dead by Daylight was becoming successful, chapters were free. They gave that stuff out. There was no cosmetic shop. The DLCs were free. They focused. Dead by Daylight wasn't in the greatest of places, back when it first started. There were a lot of issues, balance issues and stuff. They did what they could, but they are way bigger now than they were then. And the majority of their focus goes into making more money for the company. And we need to encourage them to shift their focus slightly from making money to making their player base happy. Because here's the truth. I haven't purchased anything from the store for years, but if I was happy with the game, even I would buy stuff from the store. If you love Dead by Daylight, if you want it to improve, if you want the devs to do better, you'll put your wallets away for the next 3 months. If you think Dead by Daylight is perfect, if you don't think the devs are capable of doing better, then fine, go ahead and spend your money. That's all I wanted to say. I know this was long, I know it was annoying, but I think it's important, and I want to be part of the change that changes Dead by Daylight. I believe we can change it. I honestly do. But I can't do it alone, and neither can Felix. So, Dead by Daylight community, I dare you to change Dead by Daylight. I am Space Coconut, and I thank you